education sector. But yes, we do have a report about it, which will just set the scene, and as always, we'll take it from there.
In what can be described as a boost and encouragement to the best brains, the year began with an award of automatic scholarships to 52 Nigerian youths up to PhD levels in any choice university in the world. Yes, a boost, but by the end of January, many other issues in the nation's tertiary institutions sprang up. ASU declared an indefinite strike over the government's non-implementation of the 2009 agreement. By February, after a series of stalemates, ASU took a decision which brought huge relief to Nigerians.
After collecting the advice from members across the country and having deliberated extensively, resolved to suspend the strike with effect from Thursday, 2nd February 2012.
After a collaboration between the federal government and the National Assembly to support a full rejuvenation of the 72 federal and state universities in the country in March, there was another drama. This time, the rot in the University of Abuja was in the news. The students took to the streets following failed talks between the federal government and students of the University of Abuja over the suspension of 4 programs in the university. Irresponsible was how the Minister of Education, Professor Rukayatu Rufai, described the Vice-Chancellor's management of the university.
You shouldn't have done that.
I agree. We are in a distance, but what I'm optimistic that all things, not that I've been sitting down, things have been solved concurrently.
While awaiting the final white paper report on the crisis, the minister warned against financial impropriety.
People have to be up to their responsibilities. If a system is working, if everybody is doing his best, and is doing that best within the context of what is required to do, we wouldn't have any problem. Because it's not everything that requires funding. I know funding is critical, but you can have the funds, but you don't put them and channel them appropriately. And in that case, we are still facing problems.
The year 2012 was another turning point for the sector. Nigerians applauded the federal government's initiative to mainstream millions of Almajiri children on the streets into the formal school system. On April 10, the model school was commissioned by the president in Sokoto State.
Time has come for the nation to build on the moral foundation of the traditional school system by providing the Almajiri with conventional knowledge and skills that will enable them fully realize their creative and productive potentials.
It was also another eventful year for the National Universities Commission as it lost 5 of its top officers in the ill-fated Dana airplane crash.
Well, I do apologize for some of those not being in sync, but you have actually seen some of the crux of the matter about our education system. But that's what we're focusing on today on Sunrise Daily. We're joined by Professor Abiola Awosika, who is an educationist and the Executive Director of Olawunyi Awosika School of Innovative Studies. Morning, and thank you for coming on.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, you've been here for a while, and yes, you're in touch at least with some of those who are in charge, or at least with the education sector. Now we've seen a little bit of some highlights there. What's your impression so far about that sector?
Well, I think we need an overarching analysis of where we are in terms of our educational system. From that clip, I see pockets of solutions. The Almajiris, we have issues with Boko Haram, so that's where we're going to go this time. And then we pick out like 50 or 60 Nigerians and we give them scholarships all the way to PhD level. And then we're firefighting at the university level. I think we need an overarching educational leadership that will look at our systems from the bottom up, right from cradle to PhD level. because a lot is wrong. And putting little sticky band-aids on broken pieces is not going to solve the problem.
Can the federal government design a program that will fit for the entire country from the cradle up, such that the states can in turn key into it?
Absolutely. I mean, that is what upholds in most parts of the world. You know, you have policies, and I applaud the things that our government is doing to fix problems. But you have situations where some people are marginalized. So if I'm not an A student, I have no hope. Whereas, how do you measure that A? What is it that I have as a student that my teachers have not, even managed to pull out of me? What is the genius in me that is not measured by an objective test or an essay, that is written?
So there's an A in almost everybody.
There is an A in almost every child. And we need to do the work to find that A in that child. Some of the world-renowned, wealthy, knowledgeable people didn't go to university. University is great because it opens one's mind, especially if you get the right type of education. But sometimes it doesn't have to be the theory that's going to propel you to greatness. It could just be a gem that is in you that somebody took the time to pull out of you, and it explodes. Bill Gates is an example. He made his billions before he then went back to complete his university degree. So if someone hadn't encouraged him at the time that he dropped out of university to do what the genius that was in him, then the history of technology would not be the same today.
But some people say that we do have a policy. The 6334 system was something that came out of years of other systems, and they thought it was the best. 6 years primary education where you have compulsory literacy, 3 years where you learn a skill and then you can branch off, another further 3 years where you can you're semi-skilled, as it were, and then if you want to continue all the way to university or the polytechnics or whichever school you want to go to afterwards, it should be feasible. Isn't that an overarching policy? Or
well, see, it's not the lack of a policy, it's the content that we're giving those students within the strata that we put them. First of all, I don't think any child should be forced to go the skills level so early in life. If you give everyone the general education, give them an exposure to skill sets, let them develop the skills that's within them, and when they graduate, then they can decide whether they're going to become an academician or they're going to become a professional, pursuing their skills. But it's the problem we have in Nigeria is not that policy, is who is teaching within that policy. What are we teaching within that policy? And how are we encouraging our children within that policy? So I'm in, I'm in school. My teacher is there just because he or she didn't have another job. And teaching is just something you fall back on when you can't get a job at the bank, when you can't get a job, so
it's more like a getaway for some people.
For some people. So when you put such a person in the classroom, we are shortchanging our children.